Yeah, so my given name on my birth certificate is Byron Joseph Whitaker.
Fancy.
But I've always been BJ, except for in first grade when I tried to go by Byron, but it just wasn't me. And the degree, yeah, Master of Divinity, class of 2008. I'm in my attic office in the town of Miquel, which is near Madrid, Spain. So just on the very outskirts of Madrid is where we live. And we've been here for a year. We've been in Spain for 12 years. We came here originally with the idea of church planting because there were hundreds of towns of 5,000 people or more that had no evangelical witness, no clear testimony to the gospel. And so that's still part of the situation, the landscape of Spain. In a country of about 47 million people, there are maybe 500,000 evangelical Christians, as well as the Roman Catholic Church. But the Roman Catholic Church, even by their own admission, is continuing to shrink. And that's what my friends who are priests tell me, that Spain is becoming more and more a place for missionaries, even for Catholics as well as for evangelicals. And so the needs spiritually are vast. So that's part of the need, is really just showing who is Jesus and what difference does he make in our lives, in our family, how we live. And that's been, of the 12 years that we've lived in Spain, that's probably been one of the biggest things that we've done. But one of the ways that basically what God is calling me to now is a new project of men's ministry here in Spain, which many have said, when I've mentioned that, they say that's just a vacuum in the evangelical church. Even when I was talking last year with some Roman Catholic priest friends, and they said, "What are we going to do about men? Like we don't know how to reach them well. How do we engage them with the gospel?" And so on both the Catholic as well as the evangelical side, what I've noticed and what I've heard from pastors and leaders with men's ministry is that everyone knows that we need to find some new ways to reach and engage men with the gospel.
So what surprised you, or what were you not expecting when you were in seminary?
One thing I wasn't expecting, just because of things that I had already experienced. My undergrad was in Bible and theology and was pretty academic, was solid but academic. I didn't expect it to be so practical. I really felt like that the training, the formation, it really was deeply academic, but at the same time was so deeply practical. I still go back and I still find things that I'm still using in ministry, whether it's preaching or counseling or whatever. That I wouldn't even say attention, the balance, the connection between the academic and the practical in ministry was surprising for me. I think probably the second thing, and this was just very personal. I got to evangelical. I was 24. I'd been in full-time ministry for 2 years, and I had already had some pretty bad road burn, ministry-wise, and it was deeply healing on a personal level for me to be there with other people who understood, but also it gave me the space to stop, to reflect, to examine, to invite Jesus into certain places in my life that as a 24, 25-year-old, I needed to before becoming a full-time missionary in Spain. And so those were two surprising things for me. Yeah, healing, and then also that connection between the academic and the practical. Yeah, I told my daughters how many pages I read and wrote over my 3.5, 4 years there. And they said, what? You don't have, you're 11. Don't worry about doing that yet, yeah. And then, the connection between the academic and the practical, and, like C.S. Lewis says, theology is practical. If it's truly theology, it is practical. And I think one other thing, and I already knew that God was calling us to Spain. And so what I did have the opportunity to do, and the freedom to do there, was to think contextually, and to, if there was a project or a paper or something I had to do research on, I would just ask my professors, can I look at this, from a Spanish point of view? Can I, and complete freedom to begin to contextualize what I was learning even before we arrived to the field. We don't know the future. We don't know where our calling is going to lead, and yet Jesus does. And so when we listen to him and we end up at places like Evangelical, and the training, the relationships, the work that he did in me while I was doing all sorts of work, has made me the man and the missionary and the husband and the father that I am now, and such a deep and important role in my life. And so for the faculty and the staff, be encouraged for the impact that you're making on the world, and the impact that some of them are still there from my time, that they made on me.
Is God inviting you to deeper study? Is God inviting you to support students? Visit us at evangelical.edu.